Hello, and welcome to this presentation on developing an effective AAM session proposal. My name is Greg Stevens. I'm the Assistant Director for Professional Development at the American Alliance of Museums. And today we'll be talking about tips for developing a proposal for the AAM annual meeting in St. Louis, May 7 through 10, 2017. We'll explore what makes a good session and a good session proposal, and we will review the proposal process and timeline and other information you'll need to submit a session proposal. First of all, let's start with what makes a good session. We've all been to good sessions and not so good sessions. And in general, what makes a good session for us is dependent on how the information is organized, but also our own personal learning style and what we need from the session. In general, a good session includes a level of interaction between the presenter and the audience, or the audience with each other. And that can come in the form of audience question and answer periods, or group discussions, or other types of hands-on activity. But some level of interaction is key. Also, a good session has clarity, and the information is organized and well prepared. The presenters are confident. Not only are they confident, but they are enthusiastic and passionate about what they are sharing with you, the audience. Sometimes that enthusiasm and passion and knowledge comes through humor, used judiciously. It can come through storytelling, and storytelling can be anecdotal stories, anecdotal information, or more formal information like a case study. Visuals are always a hallmark of a good session, balancing out words and images to support ideas and themes. And most importantly, a good session is relevant to the people who are attending it. It provides practical, relevant information that people can use. So as you think about submitting a session proposal for the upcoming annual meeting, I'd like to start with the concept of knowing. And what I mean by that is quite simply, what do you want to talk about? Knowing what you want to talk about in your session is an important step in articulating what you want to talk about for your session proposal. Also important is identifying who your session is for. Who do you want to come to your session? Is your content for emerging professionals or mid-career professionals? Is it for curators or educators or exhibit designers or directors? Being able to clearly articulate that before you submit your proposal is important. And lastly, having a clear sense, knowing why what you have to offer matters. Why does your session matter to the people who are coming, those individuals? Why does it matter to the institutions where they work? Why does it matter to the field? Why does it matter to society? Big, lofty questions, but important starting places as you think about your session proposal. Also, another way of thinking about your proposal process is visualization, visualizing how you want to present your information. Is it didactic information? Is it a panel presentation? Or is it more interactive where you're getting the audience engaged in their own learning? What kind of a session is it? Is it a group discussion type session? Is it a case study session? Is it more of a panel discussion? Really articulating that clearly in your session proposal. How will you engage the audience? Many times we see session proposals that default to a typical audience question and answer period. And there's nothing particularly wrong with that, but there are much more engaging, innovative ways, and frequently our audiences are expecting that and in fact demanding that. And lastly, being clear about how you will measure success. And by success, I mean not only how you're going to about successfully delivering your content, but also what you hope the audience comes away with. So being able to visualize all of these aspects of your session will really influence your session proposal. People have different ways of preparing a session proposal. Many people use an outline form, and it might be narrative form, or it might be in bullets, a traditional sort of outline. Everybody has a different way of approaching it. But getting the information out of your head and on paper or on your computer screen is important, whatever way makes the most sense for you. Being able to craft a clearly written description is critical. And by clearly written, I mean to the point, succinct, defines the session content and what you plan to deliver in the session. Identifying your audience, being able to articulate who you want to be in the audience. Again, whether it's exhibit designers or curators or registrars, being able to really identify those in your session proposal. And similarly, what you hope the audience comes away with, and we'll talk about outcomes a little bit more in just a moment. You'll want to think very thoughtfully about who your presenters are, and we're going to talk about why you need to do that in just a moment. And of course, picking the right format, and we'll review the various formats available to you in just a moment as well. Before we do so, I do want to pause and offer a couple of words about adult learners and what they want or need. Adult learners want information that is structured and organized in your session, but also in your session proposal. So make sure your proposal is structured and organized so the National Program Committee reviewers can clearly understand what it is you're trying to say. Adult learners want practical, relevant information that impacts and influences the work they do in museums, whatever they do for museums. So make sure that you convey that practical, relevant information in your session proposal. Adult learners want opportunities to blend new ideas with their existing knowledge. We all come to learning opportunities like a conference session with prior knowledge, prior experience, prior beliefs, prior skills. So think long and hard about how what you have to offer and articulate in your session and your session proposal will build on knowledge that already exists in your target audience. Adult learners want to be treated with respect. They want to be able to come to your session knowing that they have something to offer, that they can contribute to the conversation. Not only are they there to learn, but they can help others in the audience learn. So consider writing into your session proposal ways that you're going to engage them in this respectful way. And lastly, as we've talked about a couple of times already, adult learners like learning opportunities in which they are actively engaged. So think about that as you are crafting your narrative and your outcomes for your session proposal. And now a word about outputs and outcomes. I mentioned this just briefly. Sometimes we see in session proposals a confusion about an output and an outcome. So quite simply, an output is what you deliver in your presentation, and an outcome is what you anticipate the audience will gain or be better able to do because of your presentation. And I emphasize this because we frequently see session proposals that come in which the outcomes, the learner outcomes, are articulated as outputs, meaning they have defined what they will talk about in the session and calling that an outcome, when in fact it is an output. Conversely, we sometimes see in the description what is essentially outcomes, which is great, but we want to spend that time and that text amount in the description articulating what the output is, and then using the learner outcomes to more clearly identify what the outcome is. Another way of thinking about outcomes is how your session might affect a change in knowledge or understanding in your participants around a particular topic. It might affect a change in their skills and abilities to do their job. It might affect a change in their attitudes, beliefs, or values about a particular theme or topic or issue. It might affect a change in their activity or behavior or progression of tasks that they take in their day-to-day work. Or it might just simply affect a change in their enjoyment or inspiration and creativity about the work they do. We all have come to the museum field with a certain level of passion, and so your session might help them come away with what we might call a brain charge or a recharge of their batteries. I always like to encourage my colleagues when they're considering crafting a session proposal to practice writing outcomes. So I like to use a simple prompt that I learned in graduate school, and it's something like this. After participating in this session, attendees will be better able to, and then you follow that prompt with perhaps 3 targeted bullets. After participating in the session, attendees will be better able to, for example, identify strategies for topic A, communicate the key steps for topic B, implement practical tools for topic C. If you practice this writing of outcomes, it'll become like second nature to you, and you'll come away with more clarity about the difference between outputs and outcomes. I'd like to talk about presenters for just a moment. I know that you will be considering asking subject matter experts to be a part of your presentation, your panel, or your interactive session. So I'd like to encourage you to consider if the people you are inviting are the right subject matter experts. And what I mean by that is this. Not every subject matter expert is a good presenter. Our field is full of lots of really smart people. Not all of them are good subject matter experts, presenters. They might be good subject matter experts, but they are not always good presenters. So really think about that as you're considering who to invite. Also consider that not every subject matter expert is a good presenter in all formats. Some people might be more comfortable standing behind a podium and reading off a paper or going through their PowerPoint. Other people might be much more comfortable engaging in group discussion or hands-on activity with colleagues in the room. So consider that not every subject matter expert is a good presenter in all formats. And also consider if you have a relationship built with these colleagues. Having a relationship already built can make it easier for you to craft your session proposal and obviously to deliver your session. Not having a pre-established relationship is a great way to build a new network and to learn more about other colleagues, but it might take a little longer, it might be a little more complicated to build your session proposal and deliver your session. So consider if you have an established relationship or not with these colleagues you're considering to invite as part of your session. Also, you should consider your format and consider if the format that you've picked from the ones we'll talk about in a moment is appropriate to the topic. Is it appropriate to the audience you've identified? Is the format appropriate for the subject matter experts in the ways that we've just talked about? For example, in this slide, there is a picture of a session in which colleagues are convening around round tables, talking with each other, and each table is facilitated by a subject matter expert. On this slide, you'll see a very interactive session, a conference session in which attendees have just heard about ways they can craft a strategic career plan, and now they're working on that themselves while they're talking with each other about career-related issues. So whatever kind of format works best for your topic, for your audience, and your subject matter experts, that's the format you should pick. So let's shift gears just briefly and go right into the session proposal process. The 2017 Annual Meeting and Museum Expo session proposal process is now open and will remain so through September 2nd. The proposal submission deadline is September 2nd. The National Program Committee, made up of colleagues just like you, will convene in mid-October to review the more than 400 sessions that will come in. Acceptance notifications will be sent out in December. If you have any questions about this process, please reach out to my colleagues at proposal@aam-us.org. If you'd like more information about the proposal process, please visit the annual meeting website. Along the navigation bar across the top, you'll see proposals. Click on that and a drop-down window will open and you'll find more information on ways you can get content assistance from our various colleagues in the field. You can find out more information about the National Program Committee and who's on it and what their review criteria is. You can learn more about proposals themselves and the proposal guidelines. You can learn more about the various session formats and the various session tracks that will be at the annual meeting. A word about the session proposal guidelines. I encourage you to read them before and during your session proposal process. They include step-by-step instructions, the reviewer criteria, presenter agreement terms, and other resources that'll be very important for you as you think about your session and submit a proposal. The 2017 annual meeting tracks include career management, collections management, curatorial practice, development and membership, education, audience research and evaluation, exhibit planning and design, facilities management, forces of change, management and administration, marketing and community engagement, media and technology, and museum directors. I do want to mention that all of this information is on the website. You can learn more about what these tracks are about. You will have to pick a track to submit your proposal within. And equally, you'll have to submit one format for your session proposal. And we have 4 session formats. Case study, which is a brief single case study sharing solutions, successes, challenges, or best practices around a particular museum case study or event or exhibit or program. Another format is classroom, and this is more hands-on, participatory, a demonstration of tools and resources to help participants perform their jobs more effectively. We have the storytelling format, in which presenters will share situations, programs, and projects through the art of storytelling. And lastly, the talk show format, which is what you might consider a more traditional panel discussion, but it has a conversational focus. So think about these 4 formats and which one most aligns with your intended topic, your intended audience, and your subject matter experts. The National Program Committee, as I mentioned, is made up of peers just like you from museums across the country and beyond. They will be looking at various aspects of the proposals that come in through the session proposal process. Primarily, they will be looking for ideas, purpose, and learner outcomes that are clearly focused and well articulated. So it's super important that you are very focused and precise in what you write and how you write it. They will also be looking at the qualifications and the rationale for presenters, the subject matter experts that you've included in your session proposal, to ensure that these colleagues clearly support the purpose and learner outcomes as you identified them in your session proposal. And they will look at session proposals for organization and clarity and making sure that they are well conceived and well developed overall. Importantly, they will be looking for information that is delivered that is timely and relevant. This might be emerging trends or new technology, global perspectives, or other topics that are boundary pushing. They really want to build in more interactivity into sessions, so they'll be looking to see if your format is interactive and that it promotes connection and networking among colleagues. They will also be looking to make sure that your session applies to a diverse range of disciplines, cultural perspectives, geographic locations, and their museum size or type. On the flip side, there are very specific criteria that will be used that the National Program Committee will be looking at to determine if your session is accepted or not, and your session may not be accepted if it is perceived to be too narrow, meaning that the topic is too narrowly focused to have broad appeal. The session proposal may be underdeveloped, meaning the topic didn't really offer any new insights or innovation in the area. It might be unclear, meaning your session proposal just wasn't well written. It lacked clarity or specificity in the description or the outcomes. Your session might be lacking in diversity, meaning it doesn't apply to a diverse range of disciplines or cultural perspectives or other factors. Not listed here are 2 other major considerations. One is, and I've already mentioned this, that we usually get over 400 session proposals in, and we have about a quarter of that number of session slots. So the National Program Committee has quite a task on their hands to really filter through all the session proposals that have come in and pick the ones that are going to be most effective for the conference. Also, they will be looking at session proposals sometimes that come in that have similar topics or themes. And so the National Program Committee has to weigh 2 similar kinds of sessions, or more than 2 sometimes, and decide which one of those is the most appropriate to put forward for the conference program. So there's a lot of reasons why your session may not be accepted. Again, a quick reminder, the proposal process timeline. Proposals are due by September 2nd. The National Program Committee will meet to review all sessions in mid-October. Acceptance notifications will be sent out in December. And if you have any questions about this process, please reach out to my colleagues at proposal@aam-us.org. We do hope to see you in St. Louis on May 7th through 10, 2017. If you'd like any more information about the conference, please visit the annual meeting website. On behalf of the American Alliance of Museums, I'm Greg Stevens, the Assistant Director for Professional Development here at AAM. Thanks for joining me today.